God. How do I do this? How do I make jokes about a biblical story? Not just a biblical story, the biblical story, the life, death, and teachings of Jesus Christ. I'm not one to pull punches. I'm not one to shy away from controversy. So today, for better or for worse, we're taking a look at one of my favorite musicals of all time, Jesus Christ Superstar. Now, many things fascinate me about this movie, even beyond the music of Andrew Lloyd Webber and lyricist Tim Rice, who you'll also remember as lyricist from Aladdin. First is the storytelling. It's interesting to actually take an objective look at the Gospels and maybe realize that the story of JC's rise and fall may have been romanticized over the years. Kind of like the pirates in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Not that I'm comparing Jesus to pirates, okay? Shit! No, take that down! What I mean is, people tend to pay more attention to the Hollywood version of the story than the biblical accounts themselves, and even those are contested. I mean, what if the story was kind of skewed in one direction or another? What if some of the perceived villains really had good reason for what they've done? It raises some interesting questions, and it's left up to the viewer to discern fact from fiction. Jesus Christ Superstar tells the tale of Jesus, but not by his own words, nor the words and accounts of the major disciples, but by Judas Iscariot, the one famed and remembered mainly for his betrayal of Jesus. It also centers more around the politics and consequences of everything going on around him as Jesus continues his teachings all over Galilee and eventually to the capital city of Jerusalem. It offers us a unique take on the tale of the Synoptic Gospels from the other side of the fence and presents us with a lot of symbolism and metaphor to digest. Now, when I was a kid, this movie used to confuse me. It retells the story of the Gospels set in the 1st century, yet opens with a bus full of actors as they get into character as if they're preparing to put on a show and change from their bell-bottoms to burqas. The overture is a medley of the first few of the major songs throughout the movie and works as a tone setter as it builds and builds to the moment when we first see Ted Neely in his role as Jesus. As the movie progresses, you'll hear a lot of the songs borrow from each other and it makes for a cohesive total package. Carl Anderson starts with the performance of his life. His acting, his mannerisms, his voice, his intensity. The main reason I like the cast version of the soundtrack so much better than the original stage version is because of this man and this performance. Beautiful, but now it's sour. Yes, it's all good sour. Judas has great respect for Jesus as a teacher and prophet, but he doesn't believe in his divinity. We'll get a little bit more into what makes him tick as we go, but for now, Judas acts as the voice of reason and announces his displeasure over the fact that the followers of Jesus have gotten completely out of control and perhaps his popularity has gone to his head. Come on, listen to me! Complicating things further is that Israel is occupied by Rome, so anyone running around gathering huge amounts of followers and calling himself king is sure to lead the Romans to wiping them out as revolutionaries. Since we're seeing all of this from Judas' point of view, Jesus has become a bit of a prima donna, always surrounded by legions of followers and all of them expecting something different out of him. Some think of him as the Messiah, some think he can free them from Roman rule, while others just want to be famous by association. Irritated by the constant badgering of his entourage, and you would too if they kept on going, what's the buzz? What's the buzz? What's the buzz? Buzz, 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 buzz. I mean, did they even say that in the 70s? Mary Magdalene noticed that Jesus is miffed at his followers' rush to storm into Jerusalem and offers a little refreshing ointment to chill him out. Mary, that is good. So he's like, hey, I don't see you guys massaging my face with expensive myrrh oils, and I thought you guys liked me. Judas, ever the buzzkill, pops down to break everything up by reminding Jesus that it looks bad for him to be pawed at by Mary, a known prostitute, while preaching a contradictory message of purity and virtue. And while he doesn't hold anything against her personally, it just looks bad and it can be used to discredit her. They only need a small excuse to put us all away. Jesus tells him to back off his new lady friend and throws a little temper tantrum about how no one really understands nor cares about him. I also find it interesting that the voice of reason you'd expect to come from Jesus is instead coming from Judas, but this may all be a case of unreliable narration.
Not one of you!
Meanwhile, the acts of Jesus and his swarms of followers have not gone unnoticed by the local priest named Caiaphas and his squeaky-voiced lackey as they decide Jesus' fate.
Just another scripture-thumping hack from Galilee.
The difference is they call him king. The difference frightens me.
Many of Jesus' followers oppose Roman rule, and if Rome sees them as a threat, coupled with the fact that the local government can't control them, the results could be disastrous when Rome comes in to lay the hammer down.
Then we are decided.
The night before the big journey to Jerusalem to spread the word in the biggest city in the nation, Mary Magdalene helps Jesus relax in a manner which only she can. Oh yeah, by anointing him with oils. Jesus! I mean, Jesus! How you doing, man? Let's spend some alone time with Mary. It's cool. I'm just gonna. I'll see you around, dude. Judas argues that the money used for the expensive ointment should have been used to help the poor, and Jesus says honestly, no matter how much they give, the poor will always be there. However, he himself will not. This gives the first hint that Jesus is aware of his ultimate fate.
And you'll be sorry when I'm gone.
Caiaphas, meanwhile, has convened the council to figure out what to be done about this Jesus problem as the posse rolls into Jerusalem. They argue that he's just another Messiah, but the amount of followers that he has can't be ignored.
He is dangerous.
They decide that the best way to remove the threat is to have him arrested and killed before the Romans come in and slaughter everyone to quell the suspected uprising.
This Jesus must die.
You got something to say about my hat, bro? Yeah, I thought not.
Jesus triumphantly enters the city as mean old Uncle Caiaphas tells those noisy kids to get off his lawn. And later, at the after party,
As you know I love you. Did you?
this song has just so much energy. Larry Marshall, playing the part of Simon Zelotes, has more energy, more talent, more passion than I've ever seen in a performer, and man, it raises the scene into the stratosphere. All this devotion and praise is all well and good, and everyone is having a grand old time, except for Judas. That is until once again the topic of using their great numbers to rise up against Rome comes up yet again. This prospect drives them further into a frenzy, and Simon ends on how I think every prayer ever uttered should end. And bless Mommy and Daddy and bless Roses and I'd really, really like a bike next year for Christmas. This is when Jesus has to get really serious and tells them straight up, look, you guys want a Messiah, but you don't even know what real power and glory is. Being the complete opposite of what these people wanted to hear, coupled with the speaking in unnecessary riddles, the followers are completely bewildered by him. Meanwhile, the film takes a little creative license with Pontius Pilate, who will later act as arbiter in the case of Jesus' fate while he recounts a dream he had about the event. He even predicts the reaction of people in modern times, calling him a villain for the outcome of the trial. Now that's accurate dreaming.
Giving me the blame.
Uh-oh, well, looks like Jesus has his work cut out for him in Jerusalem, as its people are using the temple, supposed to be used for worship, instead as being used as some sort of legal black market, selling everything from grapes and souvenirs to drugs and machine guns. Oh, and whores.
Don't be scared, give me a try.
Pass, I'm good, thanks. Jesus, the consummate pacifist, stops by and gently asks them to... Look out! Jesus has a gun!
Get out! Get out!
Jesus makes his way back to camp on the verge of a nervous breakdown, but Mary comforts him and he gets some rest.
I don't know how to love him.
This is the hit song from the movie, and it even hit number 28 on the Billboard charts in 1970, and shows Mary's conflict of falling in love with Jesus. It's actually very touching, as she's been with countless men before, but has never felt this feeling before. And it really starts to scare her as she shouts her frustrations to the sky.
I never thought I'd come to this.
To many people, this is what Jesus Christ Superstar is all about, and they're both right and wrong. Right because it's a fantastic song, both musically and lyrically, but wrong because there's just so much more to it. Well, Judas has finally cracked and appeals to the local priest that Jesus has lost the ability to control his followers and it's going to get them all killed. They portray this epiphany with some awesome symbolism. The priest offers some silver in exchange for Jesus' location so they can go and arrest him. But Judas sees this as blood money and refuses it. And is it just me, or does Caiaphas have this real General Zod thing going on?
Kneel before Zod!
Judas finally gives in and confesses that they can find Jesus away from the crowds tomorrow night.
In the garden of Gethsemane.
General Zod, away! Later, at the garden in question, which is the only sylvan place in the entirety of Jerusalem, Jesus is well aware of his upcoming fate as his apostles, save for one exception, are completely oblivious. He points the finger at Peter, saying he's going to deny Jesus 3 times, and that one of them is going to betray him.
Cut out the dramatics, wanted me to do it. What if I just stayed here and ruined your ambition? Go! Go!
Jesus plays the nice guy, as apparently Judas has forgotten his code or something. The rest turns into name-calling and catfighting.
Every time I look at you, I don't understand.
Judas offers his final plea and explanation to Jesus and runs off to summon the guards. I swear, everything Carl Anderson does is just so riveting. Speaking of final appeals,
Take this cup away from me.
Jesus pleads God to spare his life, or at least offer him an explanation on why he has to die. Just anything to make it feel like he's not offering himself up to be despised and painfully tortured and murdered for no reason. Is the reward for this? I mean, come on, God! And this scene is just so brilliantly done. No camera trickery, no giant fans to blow his hair, just a small crew, a talented performer, and one hell of a landscape.